One of your unofficial positions has been the organization's archivist. And I know watching you through the years, you've spent a lot of time doing that. Why do you think that was an important thing to do throughout the history of the organization?
Well, the reason I got into bicycling in the first place was because of archive material, and that is my father was a bicyclist in the 30s, and he left these wonderful scrapbooks when I was growing up, and I used to go through these scrapbooks, and it's this kind of scrapbook that anybody might keep with photographs and things from magazines, but it was all about bicycling and his experiences, and it just conveyed to me what this whole world of bicycling was about, and I kind of carry on with that in that I think that those things that I save are going to be important down the road. Another thing is that bicycling was American bicycling was just in its beginnings in the late 50s, early 60s. And unlike a sport like baseball, where there's astounding quantities of materials, the archives, endless archives, there's very little about the this time when American bicycling was just developing, and where there might be 27 baseball magazines that you could cite from 1953. In bicycling, there was maybe one magazine, and
Right.
their circulation was very tiny. And I just think it's important to save all this. Another thing is that the summer of '76, that bicentennial summer, was in fact the biggest bicycling event ever to occur in America.
Right.
And I think it's important that any material we have about that, we maintain, we keep. And who knows how it might be used. And when we were putting together our book about the Trans Am Trail, I was able to go into those archives and find small things that become very important. So I continue to want to collect all these materials and preserve them.
Is there anything in the archives that jumps out particularly that you were glad you saved?
Well, the summer of '76, every trip, every group kept a journal. It was a leader's journal, and it had a day-to-day record of what that group did. And we have in those basically the day-to-day record of every rider and group that summer, with the way they were spending money, where they camped each night, notes about various conditions along the road. There's no way to replace something like that.
Right. And that's interesting stuff to compare to, now that adventure cycling runs upwards of 100 tours every year of all different kinds, from self-supported like Bicentennial was, or end-to-end like some of the Bicentennial groups were, to look back at those and see the changes. And surprisingly, some of the things that have changed very little.
And the photographic record. So there's a written record, and some of it's just numbers maybe, but some of the photographs are just wonderful, and some of them are just iconic photos.
Right.
And looking back, if I had not been here all this time, I think I can see instances where some of these things would have just been cast off, thrown away. What are these old black and white negatives? Well, we don't need them.
Well, we're certainly glad that didn't happen.